Today I'm going to be reviewing a book from Crossway. This is called Shopping for Time: How to Do It All and Not Be Overwhelmed. I saw that title and I'm like, well, that sounds like a book I need to read because I'm not that, I don't want to sound like that. My life's not terrible. I'm very blessed. I don't mean it that way at all. Hopefully I didn't sound like that. But I do get overwhelmed at times. I think I've talked about this before, but anxiety is definitely a struggle for me. It's something that I've struggled with most of my life, honestly. But God has really, helped me and guided me through it. It's not gone. It's definitely still a struggle, but He's there and He has really helped me through it. So I didn't mean to sound negative there. Definitely blessed. But yes, I do get overwhelmed at times, especially being a teacher here at the end of the school year. Things get really crazy. In May, early June, we have a lot going on. As a mom, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on most of the time, let's be honest, for all of us. We all are in different seasons. We're all walking through different things. It's easy to get overwhelmed by life sometimes. So anyway, a little sidetrack there. But as I was saying, when I saw this title, I was like, I think I need to check this book out. So just a little more about it. It says, finding joy and fulfillment in all God has called you to do. Overwhelmed, miserable, exhausted. These are the words that women often use to describe their busy lifestyles. How can you keep up with all the demands of work, family, and ministry? Carolyn Mahaney, and sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and her 3 daughters offer biblical hope to women who truly desire to glorify God with their time. These authors present 5 key practices to help you see that you really can do all that God has called you to do, finding joy, peace, and rest in the one who has designed every season of your life. Now, this is also a fairly thin book. It is like 94 pages, so it's not super long. Definitely something that won't take you a very, very long time to read. It's not a super thick book or anything, so that's appealing too if you're trying, you're overwhelmed and you don't have a lot of time to read. So we're going to have 6 chapters in this book. The first chapter is Shopping for Time, and then the other chapters are going to be the 5 tips. The first tip is rise early, joining the 5 a.m. club. Okay, I read that and I was like, ugh, I don't know about that. Like, I already get up at 6 a.m. for work, and that's early enough, but they make some really good points in there. Because sometimes life just gets so busy, especially if you're a parent or, you're working a lot of hours or both, whatever you have going on. We all have our things. So we just put our scripture reading and our time with God on the back burner sometimes. Like, well, today was really busy. I'll do it tomorrow. Or, the month of May is really busy. It'll be better in June. And then it never really gets better because there's always something going on and we just keep putting it off or not doing enough of it or not putting enough of our heart and mind into it. So I understand what they're saying here. Definitely a good tip and something I might utilize. We'll see. I thought they had some really good points in that chapter. Second tip was sit still, sitting at Jesus' feet. The third tip, sit and plan, taking a personal retreat. The fourth tip, consider people, evaluating relationships carefully. And the 5th tip is plan to depend, being productive in daily life. So some really great tips in here. I mean, obviously, some of it we know already. It's not all new things that we've never heard before. But it was good to kind of sit and meditate on it and think about, how can this help me? How can I'm not going to be able to stop working. I'm not going to be able to not take care of my child. I'm not going to be able to not clean my house, whatever else we have going on. So, but I need to have my time with God as well. So how can I have a good balance? How can I make it all work without being overwhelmed and freaking out in the process as we're doing all those things? So it was a really good book for that and just giving some tips and just kind of also just seeing, I'm not alone in this struggle and other people are going through similar things. And, we can walk through this together and just, seeing those tips and taking them as you will and applying them to your own life. So it's a pretty easy read. It's not, like I said, not super long. I won't tell you everything that's in here. I told you the tips already. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to spoil it for you. But it's definitely some practical tips that we as women can use in our lives, and men too. It is directed for women, but obviously most of the tips, if not all, apply to men as well. So I just thought it was a good little book to remind me that yes, we're all busy. Yes, we have a lot going on. Yes, we feel overwhelmed, but there's always a way to get in our time with God as well. And honestly, that should be our priority over everything else. So it really made me think about that because, I mean, just being straight up and honest, like I don't always put that first. You know, here I am reviewing Bibles and books and Christian resources, and I love them, and I love God, and you know, I try to spend as much time with him as possible, but it does get put on the back burner sometimes, as we're just so busy, and I hate even saying that, but it's true. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to be honest, you know, and say that, yeah, my Bible study doesn't always happen every day, and I'm not perfect, and none of us are. So this is just a really good reminder about how to do what we need to do, but also prioritize our time with God and our relationship with God, and that's so important. So again, this is called Shopping for Time, and it is a book from Crossway.